What's going on, family? Marquis James Mayer Sr. here, aka the Evolutionary Revolutionary. It has been a very long time since I've made a video. I decided to come out the box and make three. As a lot of you know, as I've talked about in podcasts I've done and videos I've done, I deal with depression and, when I get deep in the cycle, I tend to hide and, I'm looking for a way to not kind of be out there. I just like to stay to myself, try to figure things out. It has gotten to the point where I can't do that anymore. I need to do whatever it is I feel like I can do to combat this world that we're living in. And part of that is resisting and fighting against this administration that is quite honestly driving this country off a cliff. We might have already gone over the edge. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the midterm elections, whether people really care or a lot of people just been barking and they really don't plan on doing anything about it. So I'm going to be doing three videos, three different topics. This first video is about the Trump administration and why I feel he's trying to steer this country toward a Autocratic, Theocratic, and Oligarchy style government, all wrapped into one messy Trump ball, and I'll explain that. My second video is going to be about what we as black people and other people of color can do to survive and maybe in some instances thrive in this environment, and to resist and to fight back, and to be prepared for once this season is over, to go into the next phase and really take over, if you will. And my final video, which is going to be my most personal video yet, is going to be my journey from Christianity to atheism. If you're looking at the camera, you can see on this arm, this is actually my first tattoo. Hopefully for my birthday this year, I'll be getting this covered up. So it's kind of weird. You see me doing this video, you'll see me doing that video, but pay no attention to the cross on my left arm. So let's get into this first video. Trump and his bullshit government. Now let's do a few definitions here. Autocratic government, a ruler who has absolute power, i.e. a dictator. We know what that is. A theocratic government, a system of government in which priests rule in the name of God or a god. An oligarchy is a small group of people having control over a country, an organization, or an institution. Now, the reason why I say he's trying to run a government with all that stuff rolled into one, the theocratic part comes from his base. As we know, conservatives are Christian by and large, evangelical by and large. It spans the spectrum of Christianity, but the numbers of evangelicals tend to be higher than the other denominations. as much as conservatives want government, the hands of government off of their lives, they don't mind it if their religion is part of their government, unless you're Muslim. Then it's horrible and all that shit. But hypocrisy doesn't kind of, is doesn't really shine on them in their mind. They don't really think about it as, oh shit, that's pretty, fucked up of us to say they're wrong for doing it, but we want to do it. They don't want to go that route, but it is what it is. So, if he can be the autocratic leader of a theocratic style of government, meaning there won't be any priest or anything like that, but he can adopt that, in the name of God government as an absolute ruler, and then have all his loyal cronies who are billionaires and millionaires or whatever running different parts of his government the way he wants it run. I think that's what he's going for. And I think that's kind of plain for anyone to see. You have to be one of his blind followers or willfully ignorant or maybe dead to not see that this is what he's going for. The Republicans in Congress are turning a blind eye to everything he's doing, everything he has done to keep him in power, because to them power means more than morals and human decency, I guess. As long as they have the power and he's the president, they figure they can get all of their agenda passed, which has not turned out so well for them. Haven't really passed too much in the way of legislation since Trump has become president. There's been a Republican House and a Republican Senate, now a Republican Supreme Court. Not a lot of huge victories, a lot of humiliating defeats, but not a lot of huge victories in the way of legislation. So, the one way he isn't trying to instill this is loyalty. We all know that he demands loyalty of his people. And it's funny, it's one thing to see it in Washington. It's a whole nother thing to see it in the public. It's one thing to have a politician that you favor, that you like their platform, you like their views, you would vote for them. It's another thing to have someone like that you're so blinded by whatever that you believe everything they say. That's culty to me. That's a whole different ball game. And that's what the MAGA crowd to me is. It's like a nationwide cult kind of thing. He can do no wrong. He's saving his country. The last 8 years were hell somehow. And, he's pushing it, he's making America great again. And I've ever since I heard that, you look at it one of two ways. Either when was America ever all that great in the first place, or when was America so bad that it had to be made great again? I kind of look at it along the lines of America's been, I'm an American, I was born here, but I'm able to say, you kind of have to take off the blinders. And I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts today. Shout out to Amanda Seals, Small Doses podcast. And she was talking about how in America, the education system is very full of hubris, meaning they just teach you basically America's the greatest, America's the best, and everything else is everywhere else is like whatever. Whereas in a lot of school systems around the world, you get a more worldview education. You really don't get that too much in America. Um, and when you look at it from a worldview, America is not like, you know, yeah, it's, to an extent, is the land of opportunity. But what has happened here in the last 400 some odd years? Uh, Europeans came in, slaughtered, murdered, raped, destroyed the indigenous people, enslaved another group of people to reap untold billions of dollars to build an empire. And then in the years after those slaves were freed, they continued to oppress in other ways those slaves and other people of color, while still while empire building, whether it's being in different wars, starting different conflicts, invading other people's countries they really didn't have any business in. So, what do you say to a country if that was the resume of a country outside of America? Americans would say that's a bad country, that's a horrible country, that's a horrible history. But in America, you're not taught that. You're not taught the horrible history of America. You're taught all the nice, fuzzy parts. So, pardon me. Free plug. Coca-Cola Georgia Peaks. Delicious. So, back to Trump, he demands loyalty from his people. And the Republicans in Congress have given him that loyalty. And then you look at, he has his Sarah Huckabee Sanders, his mouthpiece, who, as much of a vile person as she is, she does a great job at what she's supposed to do. She gets his base riled up. She's able to take his disgusting, horrible words and thoughts and wrap it into a palatable dish for his people. The rest of us can see through it, but they eat it up, and she's very good at doing that. I mean, Kellyanne Conway, they keep her in the back room because she always comes out and says something stupid, but she is a fervent supporter and very loyal to Trump. And then you have like Sean Hannity, who is a part of the mainstream media, and let's be honest, cable news is a part of the mainstream media. It is very mainstream. He is Trump's mouthpiece. They, hold hands to the phone every night before bed. So, and Fox News in general, with the exception of maybe one or two folk over there, are pretty much his mouthpiece as far as media goes. So you already had the beginnings of that style of government. You're skirting the law and skirting ethics in a very brazen way. And the government is turning its back on those things. They're turning a blind eye to it. You have a media wing that is pushing your message out there for people to, for his base, but also for everybody else to hear. And because his base is so fired up, and don't get me wrong, his base is very fired up, part of their view is that their beliefs, religious, should be a part of government policy. So, as more of the crazy Trump Republicans make their way into these spaces, and you start to see some of that legislation coming through, that, whether it's some of these states that are having the very, very strict abortion laws, very discriminatory laws against trans people, and things of that nature, you're starting to see them work their beliefs into legislation. So the question is, what can we do to resist? And I'm going to get into that in the next video. So, one of the ways you can tell that this is what he's trying to do is you look at his cabinet picks. And his cabinet picks have been atrocious, and that's saying it in a nice way. His first Secretary of State was Rex Tillerson. Now, I thought that was a big blinking red sign of collusion with Russia because of Rex Tillerson's relationship with Putin. Tillerson used to be the CEO of ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil had a $500 billion pipeline deal with Russia that was stopped by the sanctions of the Obama administration. You put their CEO as Secretary of State, boom, something ain't right. But it turned out that Rex Tillerson didn't agree with Trump on a lot. So that's right there. It's a problem. He's not loyal. He didn't agree about the Iran deal. He thought the Iran deal should have stood. He didn't agree about Trump backing out of the Paris Climate Accords. And he didn't agree about Trump's North Korean approach. Meaning being an asshole, getting on Twitter and poking a unstable dictator. So Tillerson had to go. So he brings in Mike Pompeo, who is very loyal to Trump and who has pretty much the same views that he does as a staunch conservative. So you fix the Secretary of State problem in your autocratic, theocratic, oligarchy style government. Then you have Steve Mnuchin, Department of Treasury. He made millions and millions off of the Great Recession through foreclosures and also buying up one of the failed banks and then flipping it, making millions and millions of dollars. And honestly, Trump's biggest supporters are probably looking at that pick like, wait a minute. You talk about Hillary Clinton, how she gave these speeches to Goldman Sachs, and then you hire as the Department of Treasury the man who was the executive at Goldman. It doesn't add up. But Steve Mnuchin is the definition of the swamp. He's one of those people who defined the swamp that Trump said he was trying to drain. Which, in all honesty, we know he's actually been filling the swamp with more gators, crocodiles, the most poisonous snakes you can find. So that's Steve Mnuchin. And of course, he's had scandals, spending taxpayer money on travel. His wife was saying some ill shit on Twitter, and then she had to get up and apologize and shit. But that's Mnuchin. Now, I spoke earlier about Jeff Sessions. We all know, bigot, racist. Coretta Scott King wrote a letter in 1986 about him to Congress about him not getting a federal judgeship because of his racial, because he was a racist, and he ended up not getting that in 1987, which should have been an indicator, but he's very anti-immigration, and that speaks to a lot of the conservative base. So he fit right in, and he was one of Trump's, like I said, he was one of the first to get on a bandwagon with Trump. But because he recused himself, that loyalty that you thought was there, Trump has been shitting on him ever since. So, sorry, Jeff. You did what you were supposed to do, and you recused yourself, but that showed disloyalty to the boss. So he's kind of like on a job watch. We'll see how long he lasts. But I think he will only be fired if Trump gets to the last resort, and he just starts firing people at the DOJ to put an end to the Mueller investigation. And we'll see we'll see if he's able to do that and Congress does nothing. Then I think we have gone over the cliff. We have definitely gone over the cliff. And at that point, I don't know what to do. But hopefully we won't get there. In November, if one of the two, the House or the Congress, if they flip, that'll go a long way in preventing him from making that drastic of a step. Because I can't see a Republican Congress holding him accountable for doing that. But we'll see. Now we go to the Department of Health and Human Services. His first pick for that was Tom Price. Tom Price in September had to go. He had a lengthy confirmation hearing because of conflict of interest. And then he spent over $400,000 of taxpayer money on travel and things of that nature. Trump didn't like it, so he had to go. So he brings in Alex Azar, and he has ties to Big Pharma, Eli Lilly. So we'll see if that conflict of interest plays out, because Trump has been talking about lowering prescription drug prices, and Alex Azar is supposed to be spearheading that whole thing, so we'll see how that works out. But as for right now, his job is safe. He just got there. Ben Carson. He is the token black hire. And it just so happens to be for HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And I feel like that was like a slap in the face. I mean, you picked Ben Carson for that job. And, he may have grown up poor, but he is in no way qualified to run HUD. He's an idiot. He's the smartest, dumbest neurosurgeon I think I've ever heard of. And he made the comment about slaves being immigrants. And whenever black people say shit like that, or Kanye saying slavery was a choice, it makes you. I feel like every slave just rolled. When they said those things, they just rolled over in their graves. Like, you gotta be kidding me. But Ben Carson's an idiot. And then we got Betsy DeVos, who, Department of Education, even bigger idiot than Ben Carson. Ben Carson is a neurosurgeon, world renowned. So like I said, he's the smartest, dumbest neurosurgeon I've ever heard of. Betsy DeVos, only thing she did was donate a hell of a lot of money, her family, to the Republican Party. Her confirmation hearing was quite hilarious, but it was sad because she got confirmed, even though they needed a vote from Mike Pence to do it. She's been big on the charter school voucher programs, very big on voucher programs. And it wasn't until she came into play that I really started thinking about charter schools and voucher programs. And I wondered why conservatives were so high on these things. Because in my school district, the school district I came up in, the school district my daughters are in, there is a charter school that you can send your kids to. Not the cyber charter school, but Renaissance Academy. And a lot of kids from Norristown have gone to that school. And, it's a good school, great school. Um, but whenever I see something that conservatives are very, very strong into, or really, beat the drum about, I gotta look into it. And I gotta think about it more. The thing about charter schools, if a charter school is run the way it's supposed to, then we're all good. Um, the thing about these charter schools and voucher programs is another way to privatize something that the government has been taking care of. So basically, you put someone in charge of the Department of Education who doesn't want the Department of Education to exist, which is another form of consolidating power. Because if they can dismantle the Department of Education, and kind of like how Rex Tillerson started to do at State, where, the budget was chopped down. I mean, tons of people were either let go or started to leave. The amount of diplomats we have is it almost is scarce compared to what it should be, and that was purposeful. And I feel like you put somebody at the head of a department who would work to the detriment of that department, you start to consolidate your power. You start to whittle these departments down to their bare bones, and then all the decisions and everything is made by one person or a very small group of people. And Betsy DeVos, I think, probably more than anybody else, is a perfect example of that. And on top of that, you can't do an interview with her because whew, her 60-minute interview was bad. It was funny, but bad. And her confirmation hearing was a joke. Like I said, it was funny, but it was sad because she got confirmed. So, there's other cabinet picks. Zenke at the Department of the Interior, who, I guess he doesn't care about selling off federal land to the highest bidder. You got Rick Perry at the Department of Energy, who, during the presidential campaign, when Obama won the second time, talked about dismantling the Department of Energy. It shouldn't be around. And somehow he gets picked to run the Department of Energy. Now, he has kept his head down. But that really doesn't mean anything. Keeping your head down in the Trump world, what does that mean? You have Wilbur Ross, who was the co-president, I believe, of the that bank in Cyprus that turned up in the Paul Manafort stuff, and which, quite honestly, he has also kept his head down, and I'm surprised there hasn't been a lot to come of him after all that news came out about, this guy used to run that Paul Manafort was at. And I wonder if his name is going to come up in any of this, the Moore investigation. Billionaire, that fits into the oligarchy part, because, like not Zenke, like Mnuchin, who's millionaire because he not only did he make money off of the recession, he also, he directed Hollywood movies. He produced Hollywood movies. And, he fits the mold of someone that Trump would excuse me, would like having around. He likes having these huge, these businessmen. Even though, quite honestly, as a businessman, Trump is a joke. You would think, he always, I'm the greatest. I can make all the best deals, and quite honestly, he has done shit. Really, he has done nothing. So, in conclusion, and he's putting people in positions that goes against the positions that they're in. You collapse those departments, you consolidate the power, and there you have it. What can you do? So that's where the midterms come into play. You put a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, or both around him, and that will hopefully severely limit what he is able to do. So, come November, we'll see. We'll see if the country is tired enough of the bullshit and will stand up and say no more, or if people won't turn out and the Republicans remain in control, and he decides to torpedo the Mueller investigation and nothing happens to him. He just keeps on going, and at that point, like I said, it'll be too late. If he's able to torpedo that investigation and nothing happens, it'll be too late. So, in this next video I'm going to get into what black folk, people of color, can do to combat this administration and to not only survive, because after a while you get tired of just surviving, but to find a way to thrive in these times so that when things do eventually hopefully turn the corner, you'll already be a step or two ahead and you can really take off. So, thank you all for watching this video. The second video, like I said, I'm doing 3 of them. I'll be posting all 3 of them at the same time on my YouTube page. The YouTube page is Evolutionary Revolutionary. Check it out. It's actually, the YouTube page is under my name, Marquise Mayo. I never changed it. But just go to my YouTube page. I'll put the link up on my Instagram page and my Twitter page, and check them out and give me some feedback. I love feedback. I love hearing from people and getting different points of views. So thank you, and I will see y'all in this next video.